Kathy Harkey will share some of our annual highlights with you in just a few minutes. First, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to all of our NAMI Virginia board members, affiliates, volunteers, and supporters. As a result of us all working together during the COVID-19 pandemic, NAMI Virginia has had the creative freedom to gracefully move programs to an online format. We have developed an affiliate online programming guide, increased our social media activity, installed weekly call-in sessions for affiliates and program leaders, and increased resources on our website. Serving our mission through online platforms has had the added benefit of extending our reach. We are now serving individuals throughout the state who were previously unable to participate and benefit from the NAMI program. With our new virtual added means of engaging, NAMI Virginia and affiliates can now reach individuals in all corners of the state. NAMI Virginia and affiliates in the Great Commonwealth remain the gold standard for mental health support groups and programs. We continue to lead the charge moving forward. Because of our donors, affiliates, board members, program leaders, and members together, we are able to provide more hope and help to persons affected by mental illness. You have impacted so many lives through your hard work. We are very proud of this accomplishment, and we anticipate that we will impact even more individuals in 2021. We can't thank our affiliates, program volunteers, program coordinators, donors, and supporters enough for their investment in our mission. Now, Kathy Harkey, our Executive Director, will give a brief recap on program, the walk, and advocacy highlights.
Thank you, Linda. And in order for the staff to be able to make those accomplishments, we have had a very supportive board with several tenured board members who are present with us tonight. So let's take a minute for those tenured board members to just introduce themselves.
My name is Tom Spurlock.
And Tom, you are from which region of Virginia?
I'm from Roanoke, Virginia.
Thank you.
I'm Carolyn Wood from Virginia Beach.
Okay.
I'm Beth Tolley from, I'm done here. I'm Beth Tolley from Central Virginia. Yeah.
I'm Paige Long from Richmond, Virginia.
I'm Sandra Modishard from Lenexa, Virginia.
Hi, I'm Christy Gallagher from Alexandria, Virginia.
Hi, it's Stephen Dixon from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. Thank you. And we have other board members with us tonight, and you'll be learning a bit more about them here shortly. But before we move forward with that, let me go ahead and go over some annual highlights, just to give you an idea about staff capacity and the way we're structured at the NAMI Virginia office. This is a chart showing the staff and which department they're in charge of, which programs they run, whether they handle finance or advocacy or development. You've met many of these staff members, and in order for NAMI Virginia, as well as the board, to produce the volume of programs and events, as well as the advocacy and other sections of the structure of the organization to complete our mission, we have this type of floating scale within the office. So we work very well together, and as you can see, we have a great crew. They work very hard, and we couldn't accomplish all that we do without them. In 2019, we really had a record year with NAMI walks. The gross amount that was the gross amount that was generated was $206,307. We had 126 teams and 1,260 walkers. This year, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're having the walk virtually due to COVID, but we're not letting COVID stop us or bring us down. And I'll be honest with you, I was so looking forward to an in-person walk so I could see everybody and hug people if COVID was gone and just communicate person to person. But now that I'm learning about the virtual walk and seeing the great things that we have planned for that, I'm really excited about the virtual walk and to see what that's going to bring. NAMI Virginia is at an advantage because other states within the US had their NAMI walks in the spring. And so we've benefited from their learnings, from the things that they wish had been done differently, from the things that went well. And so we are taking all of that information and working alongside NAMI National to have an outstanding virtual walk on October the 10th. We've hired someone to help us with tech in the office. And I know that there will be kind of like a live stream. We have our sponsors. We're going to have stories. We're going to have people who are out walking in their neighborhoods and maybe take a video of that with their cell phone, who send that into us on walk days so we can live stream that and see that the day of the walk. Now, because we did get a little bit of a later start this year due to COVID, our walk funds are not near where they need to be. And so I do ask everyone to please register for a walk team, get a sponsor, donate to the walk. We're working very hard and we have bypassed, I believe it was $60,000 on Friday. So we do have some work to go, but we have a bit of time. It's not until October 10th, but now is really the time to go out and seek those contributions for the 2020 walk. So I look forward to seeing you all there, even though it's virtually, or even though it's a virtual event. Let's see. Okay, programs. This is, like I said, it's more annual highlights. What has been done within the past year. And NAMI Virginia's fiscal year is July 1 to June 30th. So between July 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, we had 1,021 adult and family education programs with 9,717 participants across the state of Virginia. So those are pretty good numbers. We also had 2,534 adult and family support programs or support groups with 19,262 participants. Our total child and youth education programs was 38 with 847 participants. And then the child and youth support programs is 166 with 2,711 participants. So we've reached a whole lot of people in the state of Virginia in the annual term between July 1, 19 and June 30th, 2020. In addition to all of these programs, we also are constantly involved with public awareness and engagement. We've taken over 1,100 helpline calls. We distribute about 4 newsletters, and so we've distributed over 105,000 newsletters in that annual term. Action alerts, legislative updates, discussions with people, and advocacy. We've reached about 117,676 people. And of course, affiliate and volunteer engagement is ongoing. Many of you work with Sarah Wilson and Mary Beth on a regular basis with the affiliate meetings that are held and other affiliate and volunteer activities. And we continue to do that on a regular basis. In addition to all of these things, we also provide presentations. We do coffee chats, town halls, summits, and conferences. And in the annual term between July 1, 2019 and July 30th, 2020, we were at 114 of those types of events, whether it be in person or virtual. These are the affiliates that we have across Virginia. The numbers that you just heard could not happen without affiliates, without us all working together. And so the work that you do is so valuable, and you are making a difference. I know that when I get off work every day and come home at night, you know, some days are more frustrating than others, depending on what's going on especially with advocacy. But I do feel a sense of contentment because I know that I have done good working with NAMI affiliates and partners in the community. I know that I have done work to help others who are in need. And without the affiliates, we could not do this. Without the volunteers, without the board, the staff, we all work together to make NAMI Virginia a well-run machine, and we are reaching many, many people and helping them. You'll see here that some of the affiliates have paid staff. Those include NAMI Central Virginia, NAMI Coastal, and NAMI Northern Virginia. Those tend to be our larger affiliates. And at the affiliate retreat this morning, we discussed some ways to generate funds. And Sarah Wilson has worked diligently on a guide that she's going to be distributing to affiliate leaders to show the affiliate leaders ways that they can raise funds through events or grants or other types of fundraising campaigns, direct mail, email, social media. So once affiliates get to that level and they can hire that paid staff, generally the paid staff is able to keep those funds coming in, and the affiliate can move a little bit further and reach even more people. Standards for Excellence. NAMI Virginia received the Cameron Foundation Handy Lindsay Jr. Award of Excellence and a grant to become recognized as a nonprofit with the National Standards for Excellence Institute back in 2016. We've just renewed that. And so in 2020, as a matter of fact, I just got the final paperwork this week. In 2020, NAMI Virginia has once again been recognized by the National Standards for Excellence as an excellent organization within the United States. And this is a very distinguished honor that we are very, very proud to be recognized as an excellent organization, not only in Virginia, but across the nation. And you do have to jump through many hoops to get this recognition. Just to give you a little bit of background on that, you have to have numerous policies and procedures. You have to have an excellent reputation. There are many things that go into the National Standards for Excellence Institute making this decision as to whether or not a nonprofit will be accepted. And so again, I'm very, very proud and honored that we were recognized again. And our renewal runs through 2023. And so 2023, we'll see what new things they're asking us for, and we'll submit those so that we can continue in this reign. Advocacy, we really made some good advocacy. We made some good ground this year. STEP VA was given $54 million in the 2020 regular General Assembly session. We were given $13.6 million for Medicaid redesign. The VMAP program, which is youth mental health, children's mental health, $8.4 million. And then there was $9.8 million put in behavioral health workforce development through different avenues. Whether it be paying off loans, if people decide to go into the behavioral health field through college, or whatever venue they decide to go. And so we made some good ground. Alexander McCauley, our special speaker, will be speaking here soon because we've lost a lot of this during the special session. The governor of Virginia, Governor Northam, has submitted budget amendments that removes pretty much all, there's some left, but not much. Most new spending will be gone. And that, of course, includes behavioral health. So even though we have made it far and the special session is going on now, we are advocating diligently to regenerate some of these funds so that we don't go back. We don't want to go backwards. We want to continue that forward momentum, but we do understand that Virginia has a budget deficit now due to COVID-19 and the additional expenses incurred from that. So again, even though this looks great, and it was great until COVID hit, you know, we have backtracked quite a bit, and Alexander will talk about that briefly in a short bit when he comes on to speak on the special session. All right, does Deborah, and we'll be getting to questions at the end. So if you have any questions, I assure you, we will be looking at the chat and we will see and respond to those. Deborah?
Okay, yeah, I'm here. All right, the finance report, I don't think we have anything on the screen, but I have a little script for myself. All of our files are at the auditors now, and the audit is being worked on as we speak, but therefore no current figures are official. In 2019-2020 fiscal year was a very good one financially for NAMI Virginia. Our revenue was over $1 million for the first time. We had a bequest from Betsy Greer for $100,000. We received from DBHDS $50,000 to hold a state conference, which was held in October of last year. Sponsors added another $23,000 to the revenue for that event, and that became free cash profit to us. And also, we've received a very nice grant from Anthem for $30,000. It's restricted, but it has a fairly broad range. Then I wanted to give you a little financial history. I went back to 2005, and we were on calendar year then. Our total assets amounted to $117,930. And our net income was $34,957. And I worked 27 hours a month. In June of 2020, our total assets, exclusive of Model B assets, totaled $823,855, and our net income was $248,214. So that's 7 times our total assets in 2005 and 7 times the net income. And whereas I worked 27 hours in 2005, I work about 77 hours a month now, so that's tripled. Anyway, so as I say here, that as they say, we've come a long way, baby. So I think that really says a lot for us.
Good, good. Thank you, Deborah. Yes, excellent. And now Sandy Modishert is going to speak about the board.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sandy Modishert. I'm Vice President of NAMI Virginia. And I want to thank you all for being here this evening. At this time, I'd like to recognize and thank the outgoing members of the NAMI Virginia Board of Directors. Thank you to the following board members for their service to the NAMI Virginia Board of Directors: Christy Corbin and Rob Reed. Christy and Bob, your support of NAMI Virginia's mission and the good work we do is commendable. NAMI Virginia is grateful to you for your service. Thanks to Christy and Rob.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and now I'm pleased to share the results of the elections. I want to thank all of our members who took the time to vote. It's very important for us to know that you're supporting the board too. Returning board members are Leslie Harrop, elected to serve 3 years. Rob Krupika, elected to also serve 3 years. Stephen Dixon, elected for 3-year renewal. And Damian Cabezas, another 3 years. I don't know if we can see everybody or if anybody want to raise their hands. All right, and the new board members, these are our newly elected board members who have not served before. All have been elected to serve a 3-year term. Christy Lee Edwards, Charlotte Talley, Tanya Francis, Sonia Brown, Donald Edwards, Ann Moss Rogers, Julia Torres Barden, and of course, Tom Spurlock. At this time, I'll ask the newly assembled board of directors to raise their hands and be recognized. If you could, unstop your video, unstop it and say hello. And I want to remind all of our board members that we'll have a short meeting, board meeting immediately following the annual meeting. Thank you. Back to you, Kathy.
Okay, thank you all and welcome. We're so glad to have you with us. It's just humbling to see so many who are willing to serve on our board and support our mission, and it means a great deal to us. So thank you so much. Leading this organization forward is just a awesome experience, and we're glad to have y'all on board. Due to COVID-19, generally NAMI Virginia has an award ceremony, and this was a very hard decision. We decided to postpone the awards until 2021 due to the structure of this meeting and when we recognize someone who receives an award, actually doing that, providing that recognition in person and being able to hand them an award, and their family members or friends who might want to attend and see them receive the award, being able to take photos of the experience are part of the overall ceremony that we would have had to have left out this year. And we did not want to do that. And so we decided that we would postpone the award ceremony until 2021. But any submissions that were received in 2020 are being held and carried over for consideration in 2021. So if you submitted if you nominated or submitted a request for someone to receive a NAMI Virginia award, then we will look at that in 2021. Hopefully things will be a little bit better and we will be able to meet in person and have an award ceremony, which may even be a little bit larger than the standard one, since we are carrying over the 2021 submissions. I'm not sure about that
Who are you
yet,
talking to?
but we're looking forward to that in 2021. Okay, has Alexander joined us yet, Mary Beth?
I'm here.
Okay, hey Alexander.
Good afternoon. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay.
Thumbs up.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, it's an honor to participate in the annual meeting. My name is Alexander McCauley, and I am a lawyer and lobbyist in Richmond. And I was looking back to determine when I started working with NAMI, and I was pleased and horrified to see that I've actually been working with you since 1999. And it is a distinct honor to represent NAMI at the General Assembly. And I am looking forward to working with Kathy and her team. Kathy has really hit the ground running, and she has a deep background in advocacy and public policy. And I think we're going to do a lot of good work together. And I don't think we're going to lose any momentum at all. Just to start out, our big initiative last session was the exemption for the severely mentally ill from the death penalty. And we had outstanding success with that initiative in the Senate. Actually, going back to the year before we got it through the Senate, but the Republicans were in control in the House, and did not get a hearing. Then the Democrats took control of the House, and we thought that our bill would get a hearing in the Courts of Justice Committee, and unfortunately, it did not get heard. So we were disappointed about that, but we feel that the time is right, probably for full abolition of the death penalty in the coming regular session. So stay tuned for more updates on the death penalty exemption for the severely mentally ill. Barbara Favola, by the way, was the patron in the Senate, and she was absolutely fantastic. Jay Leftwich was the patron in the House. He's a Republican. We always try to work with both Republicans and Democrats, and Jay did a great job as well, but the leadership of the committee did not want to hear any death penalty bills this year. Now, as Kathy mentioned, the budget that came out of the regular session was superb. It met goals and dreams, hopes that NAMI has had and all of its partners have had for decades. Funding for STEP VA and other very well thought out strategic advancements in our mental health system. And as we all know, that all got unallotted. And that meant that it went into a type of purgatory where it was then up to the governor to decide how much would get reallotted. To our disappointment, he did not reallot any of that new spending. And it is now, it's no longer in his budget, even in an unallotted amount. We know that they have very little money to work with in the special session, but we have heard some encouraging words from Senate Finance Chairman Janet Howell that she is going to be looking to increase funding for mental health initiatives. I think what we are going to focus on is trying to get some of those slots back for permanent supportive housing. And that has been something that Janet Howell has worked on very hard for many years, and she dramatically increased the funding for those slots during the regular session. And we hope that we can get some of those slots back because, after all, it is permanent supportive housing. It's not a type of housing where the Commonwealth can invest in for a little while and then change its mind. These consumers, the recipients of this housing benefit, need to know that it's always going to be there for them. Otherwise, it can't be called permanent, and these consumers won't be able to experience the full benefit of the wraparound services that come with permanent supportive housing. Now, on to the special session legislation. It really got out of hand, or it has gotten out of hand. I'll be quite blunt with you. Initially it was just to work on the budget. Then of course we had the George Floyd murder in Minneapolis, and that led to a very strong movement for addressing some of the criminal justice issues that have been longstanding in the Commonwealth. Then the House introduced a procedural resolution to have each member introduce no more than 3 bills. The Senate did not agree to that, and in the absence of any kind of regulator or throttle on the politicians and how many bills they could put in, before you knew it, I think we're up to, what did we say, Kathy? We're around 400?
4 bills and resolutions.
Yeah, and so it's doesn't feel like a special session. It feels like a regular session. And it's been profoundly frustrating for advocates because, we can't meet with the legislators. They are taking testimony via Zoom, but a lot of times there are so many people that are dialing in to testify that, advocates like NAMI, Mental Health America, VACSB, the, long-standing vocal, the long-standing advocates on these issues, we can't get our time on the speaking slots because they've got 40 people and they're allotting 3 minutes per side on a bill sometimes. So it's really hard, and we're going to have to think about this in depth for the regular session. How we can make our voices heard more effectively, and it may be that just we're starting to distribute text numbers, mobile numbers of legislators to our board members, and we're just telling them to, hit them with some text in a very systematic way as meetings are happening if we're not allowed to testify. The bills that we're watching most closely, the first is the Marcus Alert bill. This is HB 5043, introduced by Delegate Bourne, and that bill has passed the House Courts Committee and is currently in the Appropriations Committee. And that bill is named after a young man who had a mental health crisis and was shot and killed by a police officer in the city of Richmond. And his family has been pushing for a certain type of crisis intervention team to be in place all across the Commonwealth. There's been quite a bit of disagreement, I think, amongst advocates with respect to this model. The family has a very specific view of how the model should work. I think the countervailing view is that some localities are already doing this and they have a model that they're comfortable with and they don't want to be forced into one particular way of doing this. The other issue is funding, and that's why the bill is currently sitting in the Appropriations Committee. It's going to be very expensive. I was just checking it. We don't have a fiscal impact statement for it yet. And so they're going to have to find the money for it. And, if it, who knows if it's going to cost $5 million, $2 million, it's going to be a real scramble to get the funding for it. So that's a bill that we're following very closely. We are actively supporting it. Another bill that we are actively supporting is HB 5046, which is introduced by Dawn Adams. She's another delegate from the city of Richmond. And this bill would greatly liberalize the rules around telemedicine and would make clear that it doesn't matter where the patient is receiving the services, and it doesn't matter where the provider is delivering the services. And under the old telemedicine model, the patient would have to be in a healthcare facility, and so would the provider. This, does away with those rules so that you can be at home, receive telemedicine services. Provider can be at their home and deliver the services. So that bill is doing well, and it does not have a fiscal impact and is probably in good shape. The other bill that we are actively supporting is SB 5014, introduced by Senator Edwards, and it requires law enforcement officers to receive CIT training. And many of you are very, very familiar with the long-standing work that NAMI has done on CIT, and this bill would, really put some teeth into the requirements for CIT and allow a much broader adoption of it. again, it's got a fiscal impact, and it's indeterminate at this point. I did not see a fiscal impact statement for it, so it's now in the Senate Finance Committee. And then the Senate companion to the Marcus Alert bill in the House is Senate Bill 5038 by Senator McPike. And that bill passed the Education and Health Committee and is now in the Finance Committee. And we are supporting it, but I think that we are sympathetic to the concerns expressed by VACSB, for instance, that it should not be a one-size-fits-all for every locality. We think that localities should have some flexibility, and that's important to us, and also obviously that it get funded adequately. So there's one other bill that we're actively supporting, but it's been rolled into Delegate Bourne's Marcus Alert bill, and that's HB 5086 by Delegate Corey, and that has been rolled into that bill and is also in appropriation. So I'll stop there, Kathy. I've been talking for a little while and talking kind of fast, and so is there anything else you would like me to dig into in terms of what we're supporting or what we kind of look forward towards the future?
Yes, and I think that that's, a good summation. Right now during the special session with the 334 bills and resolutions that have been introduced, we've basically limited our support to the Marcus Alert, telemedicine, CIT, and let's see, one other, I'm trying to remember now, but we've limited to 4 categories. And out of those 4 categories, we're focusing the majority of our efforts, as well as we're still hoping that we might get some funding reinstated within the amended budget. And so we are still advocating there. And I think that's very good, Alexander. I really hope that once we get the budget under control, we can get some reinvestment in STEP VA and VMAP and professional development for behavioral health workers, and of course in housing. One thing that might be good to speak on are the funds that we have to fall back on. For example, I know that the governor is seeking to use some funds from the CARES Act or other revenue streams that we have in Virginia to fund so people are not evicted from their homes. And so with Janet Howe, is she actually going to try to get some of those funds to reinvest in the supportive housing program so we don't lose ground there either?
I think so, Kathy. And the interesting thing about that mortgage and rental relief fund that's getting a big slug of funding is that it's sort of linked to this eviction moratorium, which has become somewhat controversial. As you know, or some of you know, I also represent the Virginia Housing Alliance, which is a umbrella advocacy group for affordable housing. The problem with the eviction moratorium bills that were introduced is that there was no means testing whatsoever. And so somebody could, be in an apartment that costs, $5,000 a month. And if they could prove that they lost their job because of COVID, they would be eligible to be reimbursed for, $5,000 a month. So there's a lot of complexities to that moratorium that they need to figure out. And so it's fluid, I guess is what I'm saying. And if it's determined that maybe the rental relief program needs to be narrowed, that might free up some money for for instance, permanent supportive housing. You know, I was just thinking about it before the call started. I mean, it's really important that, you know, persons with mental health disabilities have access to safe, affordable housing. And it's absolutely fundamental. It's been something that NAMI has been really pushing, you know, for the last 10 years. And so we think there's a good nexus, and we think there's plenty of logic to maybe put some new money into permanent supportive housing, whether it comes out of that rental relief money or not. It really needs to be done.
And I haven't seen where a cutoff date has been established for submitting new bills to the special session. Maybe it's happened and I just missed it, but I have not seen that. Do you anticipate that Senator Howe is going to submit some type of bill so that this does not happen, or is she just going to fight to keep what's there funded?
Well, I'm like you. I've not heard about a cutoff in the House. Senator Sasslaw, the majority leader, did announce, I believe on Thursday, that he said, you know, you've got till noon tomorrow, or he may have said it on Wednesday. I can't remember, but they have a sort of informal cap in place in the Senate, and I don't think they're going to let in any more bills. But anything that Janet would do in terms of the PSH, she'd do it through the budget, and that's open-ended. I mean, we don't know how long that's going to go on. Keeping in mind that they've got to pass their budgets, it's got to cross over, it's got to be voted on each side. Then conferees need to get appointed. Then the conferees have got to start meeting. It's a full-blown budget process. And that normally takes, you know, 3 weeks in a regular session. And now we've got all of these COVID logistical challenges. So it's interesting to speculate about how long it'll take to finalize this budget. The point, I think, for us is that we do have some opportunities to weigh in. And, you know, I think we will get very targeted in the coming weeks to advocate to try to get some of this money back.
Yes, yes. And Beth Tolley just reminded me, the fourth one, I drew a complete blank. Sorry about that. I've got 1,000 questions going through my head when it comes to advocacy, that we're supporting our mobile crisis teams. So we're supporting the CIT training, the Marcus Alert, the mobile crisis teams, and telemedicine. That's the legislation during the special session that we're actively supporting. And Damien had asked earlier about the amount of the deficit that the budget that the governor's trying to cover. And again, there are some revenue streams there. And I mean, the numbers floating around run anywhere from 300 million to 1.2 billion. And so I know that we received, I believe it was like 1.3 billion in CARES funding. So what is the total amount of the deficit in Virginia that we are trying to address by freezing the new funding that was approved in the 2020 regular session?
I think the consensus number is that 1.3 billion, and I don't think it was any accident that it was exactly the same amount of money that's unspent in the CARES of the CARES money. So we have a $1.3 billion deficit. We've got $1.3 billion of CARES money that's sitting in the bank. The problem is that they're handcuffed in terms of what they can spend that CARES money on, and everybody was hoping and praying that there would be a deal in Washington and that the handcuffs would be taken off and that money could be plugged in. So that, I think, is the number that everyone feels is the shortfall. But the money is all fungible. I mean, I think you could make a case for the shortfall is much less than that. And I think some people felt like, well, why not just use the rainy day fund, which I think has got like 700 million in it or something like that. But they just, the accountants, I think, won the day and said, no, we've got to keep the rainy day fund. We got to protect it because of the bond rating and so forth. And so that's where we are. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, yes. And I do think that we have some time to open up the floor for board members to ask questions of Alexander directly. So if you have questions, please go ahead and ask those now.
Hi, Alexander. This is Julia Torres Barden, and I'm new to the board. I am curious, though, about the duration of the session, please. When does it end?
Great question. Short answer, I don't know. And I don't think that the legislators know either. Like I was saying, I think it's going to be at least another 2 or 3 weeks because they've got to develop their budget in the House and then the Senate. That's going to take at least a week. Then it's got to go to the floor. It's got to be debated and voted on the floor. Then the House budget goes to the Senate. The Senate budget goes to the House. They reject each other's budgets. They insist on each other's budget and so forth and so on. The conferees get appointed. So I really think we're going to be looking at end of September where this all wraps up. But I've never been in this situation before. Nobody else has. So I'm really speculating.
Okay.
And if you look on the General Assembly calendar, they have sessions running through mid-December that will be discussions that we may or may not need to be involved with. So
wow.
I don't know. It's just, I'm with Alexander. I've never seen anything like it. It's like having a second full session within a year.
And is that because of the pandemic, or are there extenuating circumstances in Virginia?
It's really was because of the pandemic, and the revenues fell off a cliff when the economy shut down in April, and so at that time they just unallotted all of the new spending, and so then so we'll come back in August and we'll refine it and try to fix it. And so that's how we got to where we are. And then in the intervening months, there was the murder of George Floyd and all the civil unrest. And so then it became a social justice and social equity, criminal justice reform, in addition to dealing with the COVID issues.
Got it. And what's on the docket for next year? Is it a 45 or 60-day session?
It's a short session. It's a 45-day session.
Wow. Okay. In a presidential year with the gubernatorial election in Virginia. So that's bizarre. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. In the CARES Act, and that $100 that the state was going to have to put up toward unemployment, is all that figured into that deficit that equals out? Or does that $100 upset the apple cart?
Deborah, I haven't been following that aspect of it very carefully, so I'd have to plead ignorance on that one. I know they're trying to be very creative about how they can use the CARES money, but that, for instance, I think they're trying to put as much of it as they can into the state hospitals that are all well over 100% capacity, and some of them have had some pretty severe COVID outbreaks. So they're trying to plug that money in there, but there's a lot of restrictions on what the money can be used for, and it's unfortunate.
One thing that they have to use some of the funds for is anything the state agreed to match. So if the federal government provided funds and the state agreed to match those funds, then that specifically has to use for that match. We, you know, the
Right, so
budget
that's why
cannot be, yeah.
But that's why I'm wondering whether this thing that looks so balanced is actually balanced, because that unemployment mandate from President Trump, that he said they could take it out of unemployment or they could take it out of the CARES Act. I don't know. I just was curious whether this would create a wrinkle. Anyway, I guess we don't know. That's all.
Good
Kathy?
question.
Kathy, this is
Yes.
Beth. I thought I'd bring up also, during the same time that all this is going on with new bills being introduced, we have 4 or 5, maybe more, studies going on that are a result of the January, February, March session. So we have the bed registry, we have the TDO, anyway, there are like, there's going to be a residential group, study groups that were mandated as part of the actions in the regular session this year.
Yes, good point, Beth. Yes, Beth and I and Carolyn and I believe Rob have been serving on different committees for the bed registry, TDOs. There are so many things going on so that they can identify where the needs are, where the problems are, how to address the needs or the problems and move forward. So yes, in addition to the session, we have several committees that have started, not necessarily as a result of the session, but leading up to the session. And so I would like to thank every board member on the Public Affairs Committee who has helped me to divide and conquer to get all of these things accomplished, because y'all have done an awesome job. And with our limited capacity and everything going on, we definitely need your help. And so thank you so much for all you have done there. Yes.
There's another one, Kathy, that I don't think came through NAMI because we had to limit our focus, but I'm involved in it because of my early intervention focus. And so early intervention mental health consultation, the bill that was passed said that would be studied this year. So the group has been formulated now, and it's going to be meeting in September and October.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm excited about that one. That one's so good for prevention kind of work.
Yeah,
That's
there's another one too that's just getting ready to start that I was going to call you on this coming week, has to do with children's mental health and you know, hospitalization. And so I'll be getting in touch with you on that. We've also served on committees for MOT, mandatory outpatient treatment. That committee and the results and report have been wrapped up. And so, you know, and I'm expecting some maybe criminal justice reform committees to arise, or CIT training committees to arise. And fortunately, when CIT really got rolling across the state outside of Roanoke and Charlottesville, which had it before the time that I'm going to speak about, I was on the original cross mapping committee. And so a lot of the people who were on that original cross mapping committee have called me since CIT has been dressed during the special session to just get a little bit of input about what we can maybe do better and differently to enhance the training that's provided to officers through CIT. So there is a lot. I mean, you know, that's about all I can say. It's ongoing, it's constant, and having Alexander, the Public Affairs Committee, myself, as well as advocates in the field who advocate when they're sent an advocacy alert or an action alert is crucial to accomplishing our goals. And so again, I think everyone who pitches in to make this happen, it definitely takes a village, especially in 2020. So yeah, so thank you all.
Can I ask Alexander one more question? Or I don't know if I'll ever, or when I'll see you again next, Alexander. But I want you to know that I'm a Sorensen grad. Do you know Sorensen at UVA?
Of course, yeah, it's wonderful.
Thank you. And MPLI at Grace Harris at VCU. So I've testified often, and I played a big role in the smoking ban legislation. So if you need someone who is unabashed, and I enjoy nothing more than taking it hard to our legislators. So please call on me. But as well, because I don't know when I'll talk with you next, it may be next year. In terms of those talking about running for governor, are any of them more passionate about mental health than others?
That's a great question.
Because they're starting to have money and support. So
yeah, I mean,
tell me what to do.
You know, Jen McClellan carried the Senate bill for the Marcus alert, and you know, I think representing the city of Richmond, you know, she's very well attuned to the needs of, you know, the community that we advocate for. Jennifer Carroll Foy has announced she's a young delegate from Prince William who came out of the prosecutor's office there. She's only in her second term, so she doesn't really have a track record that I'm familiar with. And then Terry McAuliffe is sort of the 800-pound gorilla who's probably going to run again on them. So, and you know, I think he did some good things for, you know, mental health funding, but I don't think of him really as being a champion.
Okay.
The Republicans, you know, not really clear who's going to announce. I mean, Amanda Chase, some of strange ones. So.
Sure, and I've heard about Kirk Cox as well.
Yeah, and Kirk is a smart guy. He was always very focused on the ID and the DD community, and not as much as I would have liked on, you know, our community. But he's a smart guy. I think, you know, if he stays in it, I could see him getting the nomination.
Okay.
He certainly always would listen. I mean, he's a very thoughtful person.
Okay. And you discount Justin Fairfax?
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, then there's Justin Fairfax. Then there's Mark Herring. It's really not clear what he's going to do.
Okay.
So it's a little bit wide open right now.
So it sounds to me like Jen McClellan is at least, she's created a track record for you in terms of NAMI support.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't endorse anybody. You know, we have issued some report cards from time to time, and that's something I think for the Public Affairs Committee to consider whether we want to, you know, do a report card. But as a, you know, but we don't, as a tax exempt organization, we don't, you know, endorse anybody. But we certainly do engage with them, and we certainly do tell them what we think. And so you know, I think we've got an opportunity coming into the next gubernatorial election.
Not just that, I think pandemic-wise, I think early intervention because of what children are going through. And so, Kathy, are you aware of the last time the organization did issue a report card? Because I have served other organizations where that's pretty valuable as a tool.
Yes. NAMI National generally does issue the report cards by the states. I do not know what the last year was that they issued that. I do know that when they did, Virginia received a D, and I believe we came, no, wait a minute, I take that back. We received a D one year, then I believe we came up a little bit the next year it was issued. It's like maybe every 2 or 3 years, and then the next time we were back down to a D. I have not seen one since then, and I do not recall the year that was done. It should be, we should be able to easily find that on NAMI National though, and check with them to find out when they'll be putting out the next one. And as to your question on the candidates, many of the candidates right now, not necessarily that are running for office, but people who are in office now, whether or not they're running for a higher office, the elections are doing town halls. And so we often receive emails letting us know when a legislator is doing a town hall. And so we try not to overwhelm people with emails from the state office, but as those come in, I can share them with the board. So when a legislator does a town hall, you can ask your questions, see where they stand on the issues, and gain some more information there.
And are there any times when we actually need to work on our federal relationships? Because I do know Spanberger and Warner and Tim. So do we ever need to care what they're doing?
Well, yeah, of course, because of funding like the CARES Act and any funding that's going to trickle down to the state, and the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services receives a great deal of funding from the federal government through SAMHSA. And so we, of course, need to be interested in that. And let's see, Congressman, is it Whitmire Alexander down in the Tappahannock? Whitman, he is actually either just did a town hall or is getting ready to do a town hall so that people can hear where he stands on specific issues, and as well as ask questions through, I'm assuming it would be through the chat box. That's how it's previously been done. And we're sometimes asked to participate in those. As a matter of fact, we participated in a town hall that Donald McEachin did about, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks ago. And so occasionally when NAMI is asked to participate in those town halls, then we definitely emphasize a focus on mental health.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So good questions, Julia. Glad to have you on the board.
Thank you very much. I don't mean to be touting these names. I'm only doing it so that I can be your tool. That's the only reason. Put me to work with those people.
We will.
Okay, excellent.
Beth, it sounds like we might have someone for the Public Affairs Committee.
I was just about to say, I think we've got a vice chair here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or chair.
You already do.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions on advocacy or the state budget or the effects that this is going to have in Virginia? Okay. Okay, Alexander, did you have anything else to add about, the direction? Someone had asked about the direction moving forward for the 2021 session. And we, of course, need to see the bills that will be introduced, but we're going to try to regain some ground, if possible, that we've lost due to COVID and the budget cuts or the freezes on approved funding. So is there anything you'd like to add there as far as our direction for 2021, Alexander?
Well, I think, as you and I've talked, Kathy, that we always like to have something that we prioritize that no one else is talking about, that no one else is working on, initiatives that wouldn't get done unless we do them. And so, that's still in development. I think there's still, we've done a lot of work over the years on the auxiliary housing grant, which is still, used by thousands of persons with serious mental illness to put a roof over their head. And so I think that's worth looking at, maybe trying to increase the auxiliary grant and expand the use of supportive housing settings as opposed to assisted living facilities for that grant. So that's always something I think that we might look at. And but it's really up to the Public Affairs Committee and to you to tell me what you want to prioritize. And I think we will obviously fight hard to try to get that funding back. And then, I think we need to find that signature issue to work on for the regular session.
Yes, and we have had a discussion on that, and Beth and I actually have that on our radar. We've been so slammed, but That's certainly something that we're going to be discussing for the upcoming regular session. And another thing that NAMI Virginia will be doing is sending out a survey to the membership sometime between October. It'll probably be in October at the latest. We're going to send out a membership to get input from the membership on what advocacy areas they are most interested in. So we'll have that input as well to move forward. Okay.
You know, Kathy, that reminds me of the other thing that one of the other committees, and that was the joint legislative audit.
Oh, the JLARC, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
we served on a JLARC committee, yes.
Yes, they asked us about our group's perspective on how well parity is going in Virginia. And Kathy and Mary Beth put together, I don't know who put it together, but you guys just turned that around so fast, a survey that went out to people asking some specific questions about their experiences with mental health versus physical health with their insurance. And we got some really good info. And I think that really surprised the JLARC guy. He wasn't expecting the depth of information that came. So I thank the team for that, Kathy.
Well, I actually have to give the credit to Mary Beth on that one. She's really good at the technical issues, the survey. She does a fabulous job. And after we sat down and met and decided which issues we felt were most important when we did our rating before the meetings, she was able to come up with that survey based on that information. And again, the team at NAMI Virginia is phenomenal. I mean, we couldn't have a better team. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Beth.
Sure.
Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, we're coming to the close of the annual meeting. Did anybody have anything they want to add? And what I'd like to do is I took the PowerPoint off so we could see everybody's faces. Sandy said raise the hand for the new board members who are coming on. Now we can show everybody's picture at one time. So if you are a brand new board member to NAMI Virginia, if you could raise your hand, that would be great. Okay, let's wait for all these pictures to come up here. Okay. Good job. Well, welcome to all of you. We are so glad to have you on the board. And again, we're just pleased that you like our mission and you're willing to serve and work with us to accomplish the great work that we do in Virginia. Now, if you're a re-elected board member who's serving a 3-year term, can you please raise your hand? Okay. Good job. Well, we're glad to have you back on, and that says a lot. I guess we're doing something right, wanting to re-up for another 3 years, so we appreciate that, and we certainly do try. I think that's everything. Tom Spurlock came on as an interim board member, so he's a board member. We filled the seat a little bit early. So Tom, welcome. We're glad you're here with us, and I'm just so glad to see all of you. Yeah. So now, does anyone have any final questions before we begin to close out the meeting? And Mary Beth, can you tell us if there are any questions from the community as of now that we will need to address later?
Nope, you guys are good to go.
Okay, that sounds great. Does anyone on the board have any questions before Linda delivers the closing remarks?
Well, I have a question. What time is the board meeting going to start since we're finishing a little early?
It starts at
15.
Yeah, it still starts at 6:15. Yeah, that'll give you time to get a snack or a drink or something. And I want to take a minute to thank Alexander. He is just a wonderful partner of NAMI Virginia and has been for a long time. And when I talked to Alexander, He says, Kathy, whatever you need me to do, I'm here for you. You know, I'm here for NAMI. And, you know, that just says a lot about you, Alexander. And I just can't thank you enough for who you are and what you do for NAMI Virginia. Keep up the good work, and we are blessed to have you on our team. So thank you. And thank you for presenting tonight.
It was my pleasure, and it is an honor to work with you and for you. Thank you.
He was a great mentor to me in my first time this year down at the General Assembly. So I really appreciated that.
You taught me a few things too. So we're a good team.
Thanks.
Good job. Okay. Okay, so does anyone have any questions before we begin to close the meeting? Okay, Linda, I believe you are up for the closing remarks.
All right. So again, we can't thank you enough for all of your support. We would not be able to do the work that we do without everyone's support. Your partnership is greatly appreciated. We're excited about the future. We're looking forward to reaching more people during the years 2020 and 2021. We want to have an even greater impact. And so we thank you for joining us tonight for the 2020 annual meeting.
Thank you all and good night.